Welcome back. Still to come this morning, we've Hollywood royalty in the house. Kate Winslet tells us why she believes revenge is a dish best served cold. A heartwarming story that'll bring a tear to your eye. We meet the woman who brought a dying pony back from the brink of death by using her skills as a horse whisperer. You have to hear this story to believe it. First, it's a story guaranteed to warm even the hardest of hearts now. When Dawn Westcott got a phone call on one dark, blustery night about a dying foal stranded on the moors near her home, she knew that she was the tiny foal's best chance of survival.
Well, as a pony whisperer, Dawn has years of experience communicating with the wild Exmoor ponies and immediately rushed to assist the frail one, who was just hours away from dying of starvation and pneumonia.
Well, it's quite a story, and Dawn's here now to tell it, along with that very special pony, Monsieur Chapeau, and his faithful companion, Lady Stumpkin Pumpkin, who we'll meet in a moment. She has a very important role in his life. But first of all, so for anybody that doesn't know, what is a horse whisperer?
Well, rather than being a horse whisperer, it's really about horse whispering, and it is really about listening to the ponies and establishing a two-way communication so they can express how they feel.
And is it just a feeling? It's not that you necessarily hear the horse talking to you, it's just a feeling and a connection and a bond,
That's exactly
really.
what it is, a connection.
Yeah.
It's listening to them, and so you're trying to establish a willing connection with them, a willing partnership, and you're trying to build trust rather than just simply telling them what to do.
Yes.
And that's it, really.
So let's go back to that time on the... And say it was January 2014, so this was a foul night.
Yes.
You heard from a walker who'd spotted this foal in serious trouble, and you managed eventually to get out there and find it. And what condition was he in? We saw that picture. I mean, it's terrible.
Well, we were very fortunate because Tricia keeps an eye on the ponies and walks and photographs them a lot. So she knew immediately that this was a pony in trouble. And we all went out, Tricia and her husband and Nick and myself, the next morning to look for him. And we found him in a steep coombe. And he was severely malnourished. He was about 4 months old, and he'd somehow been separated from his mother. And these herds run in about 5,000 acres of wilderness, so, you know, these things do happen.
And in actual fact, it was lucky that he was, in a way, so weak, because really that's what saved his life, because had he have been one of the other ponies, then notoriously you can't catch them, you can't approach them, they are wild.
They are completely wild. So the fact that we could, and the fact that he was, you know, collapsing, showed that he was in trouble. And when the vet saw him, he did have pneumonia as well, so he needed help right away.
And so you nursed him through his recovery. The vet said prepare yourself for the worst, but you got him through it, which is incredible, because they're a rare breed anyway. There aren't very many of them, these pure bloods. And so how long did the recovery take until he got to the condition that he's in now?
Well, he could stand up on his own after about 10 days, but before that, you know, we had to help him to stand up. And then after about 2 weeks, especially when Lady Stumpkin Pumpkin showed an interest in him, his rehabilitation accelerated. He responded to his medication.
So how did she help then? What did she do to help?
Well, we had the other foals in the Maul and Foal project, where you know we helped to give them a good start in life, and we had about 8 foals there, and they all came to the gate of Monsieur Chapeau's enclosure, and Pumpkin showed a real interest in him, and she really wanted to come in there with him. So when he could stand up on his own, we let her in, and they became such firm friends. They lay down together, played together, and she took him under her wing, and there's no doubt that she accelerated his recovery. You know, it was... And
so what sort of a relationship do they have now?
Well, they run in a herd of about 25 Exmoors, and they're very often, you know, found together. They come in together. But Monsieur Chapeau also takes new foals under his wing, so he nurtures them, and then Pumpkin looks after him, so it works out really well.
And so when the other foals, the more timid foals, see your relationship with him, does it help them to come forward?
Massively. He is like a mediator between the wild foals, because they look at him and they say, is it really OK to let those humans near you? And they watch him, and he has a really calming influence. He half shuts his eyes and he stands really close to them.
But is it a good thing that he would help you encourage the other foals to come towards humans? Wouldn't it be best if just ran away and stayed away from them?
Well, if they're going to stay on the moor, yes, then we try to keep them wild, and we have semi-feral and feral herds on the moor and they are not handled. And it's very good to retain their wildness factor. But every autumn, some foals have to come off the moor because there are strict grazing quotas, and particularly colts can't stay out there because they would breed. So in order for them to cross that bridge and make the transition to domestic life, then they need to become tame.
Well, all your story and his incredible tale is in your book that you've written. There's beautiful images in there as well, and it's really lovely. It explains further about sort of horse whispering and that connection. And it's got a seal of approval there from Chapeau, Monsieur Chapeau. Gorgeous. Thank you for bringing them in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Right, still to come, Nicole Scherzinger is about to unleash her competitive side. She's here to fill us in on all the latest gossip in her life a little bit later.
And we'll be discussing the dangers of internet pornography. So lots of calls coming through, and we'll get through as many as we can right after this short break.
Is here, and it looks like she's been hanging out with some of our guests backstage. What did you think? Oh, look! Did you like the ponies, Nicole?
I loved them. I love animals. Horses are my favorite animals. We were just horsing around backstage.
Yay! We'll see you in a bit.
All right.